Goodness me, he says, goodness me.
They're all laughing in the background there. You've got to repeat that all again. What we don't do requests. Maybe to say that to a judge, we don't do requests. You only get it once.
Go on, you're having your own party with Steve. What's going on?
Again.
Yeah. Repeat that. No, we can't do it. We don't do requests, Your Honour. Just looks at you with that dumb look.
How does that benefit me, please?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's fun. It's fun doing it. It's fun doing it. It rocks the boat. It really does.
So to speak.
I noticed Andy's not saying very much. David's not saying very much down in the corner there. He's sitting there watching.
He can't get it. It's very, very rare that I've ever seen a hangout. I mean, this is the first one I've ever been on, I think, where we can keep our brother G quiet for more than 30 seconds, brother. So me and you must have something special between us too, eh?
Yeah. See, he's got the gift. He can see who actually comes on, can't he? We can't see anybody who comes on just yet. We can come through eventually.
No, yeah.
Go on. Brother G.
Yes. Hello. I'm just getting the screen ready, making sure it's gone, it's casting. Everybody's dropped in now. There's about 7 viewers, so I was just listening to you guys chuckling along.
Yeah, well, brotherhood of man and all that, you know.
The Chuckle Brothers.
To me.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, you've got to make light-hearted in these bad situations, because otherwise we'll all be swinging from ropes, with such as the deprivation and harm and loss that's being suffered at the moment. So we've got to keep ourselves light-hearted and to endeavour to carry on, I do believe. Laughter is the medicine, not pharmaceuticals.
Well, everything changed this year anyway. The way things are actually getting portrayed now, you can see it over in America quite clearly, quite instantly. All the indictments. I've got something like 20,000 indictments out now for all sorts of crimes, whether it be for, I'm not going to say thingy, but you all know what I'm talking about. Pizzagate and all these things. You get my drift?
Yeah.
That covers everything basically, and it's showing you the elite side of everything. And that's one of the reasons they were brought to the Vatican, believe it or not. There you go.
All roads lead to Rome.
All roads lead to the big Rome. Absolutely. And when he cracks that whip, you listen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You should listen.
You've got a big army. I would like to take on the Pope's army. He's got unlimited funds.
Certainly has. So this is why we act in honour.
Yeah. I get loads of people saying to me, yeah, but you send a notice to the Pope, he's the devil, he's all this, he's that, and he's this. And I've never said he's a good guy or he's a bad guy. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, he's not basically harassing you. He's not doing it. He might send agents to do it, but he's not doing it himself. Do you get my drift?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Simple. So that's where you've got to see these things. Get rid of the agents, then we can sort it out. Do you know what I mean?
The in-between, as we call them, don't we?
Yeah. That's absolutely.
Third-party interlopers.
Always an interloper. I even called the judge that. He didn't like that one bit. You're just an interloper here today. You're not even the right jurisdiction. That went down like a red balloon.
That's it. And thank you. I bid you good day and thank you for coming.
Have you seen it, David? Have you seen the transcript online?
The transcript of what? Which one?
I've got a Crown Court transcript online on the website.
No, I don't think I have. I've looked at quite a bit on your website.
You should have a look at it because it's been in the Crown Court twice. It's to do with the Environment Agency trying to kick people off the land. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're doing a landfill. Yeah. Okay. But they've just got a private trust now. They've done a trust. Okay. So
yeah,
this is the second one we've been in now. So we went into that one. This is the second sitting, and it blatantly shows that from a Crown Court judge, the judge second sitting this time was a district judge who has no jurisdiction in a Crown Court.
Absolutely.
So it shows you that they were trying to get it back down to the civils. Does that now make sense?
back on the circuit.
Yeah, but on the paperwork, guess what it says on the paperwork, guys? Criminal offence. Well, let's go to the court and see how criminal that really is.
It's an oxymoron, isn't it? A criminal offence.
I love it, absolutely.
It's like being.
I like to educate the system. I love it. I absolutely love this, educating the system.
I didn't realise there's such a thing as a criminal offence.
Yeah, no, but what, you don't want to kill the system. You
It's
want to have fun with it.
Yeah, you're bored else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you either commit a crime or an offence. It's one or the other.
Yeah, there is only one crime, and that's against man on man or woman on woman or whatever. Do you get my drift? Real.
Simple as that. Yeah, an offence is a rule.
Yeah, everything else is a statute or an act and don't apply under God's law.
Exactly. But if you've taken offence to that,
maxims of law, ecclesiastical.
Exactly. And if they've taken offence to you breaking one of their rules, then the good Lord will forgive thy trespass, and that's how I operate.
That's because of Jesus. Absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Always get out of jail one. There's always a card there to get out of jail.
Wicked. It's nice to know, and I hope people are cognising and taking it in and how to enact and deal with their property.
And the best, and this is what frightens a lot of people, and I know people that do this, so I've done it myself. Anyway, when you walk in front of a judge, just in case you ever do, always ask how many masters he serves, because his oath is to God. Remember that, not to the Bargill certificate.
Exactly. So if it says more than one, we wish to know whom.
You don't need to acknowledge it. You don't need to acknowledge them. You can cancel it there and then and walk out. There's not a lot they can do. You've got to have the balls to do it. Like the French, but you got
exactly. That's pretty much what I've done to that father. You know, the lad, one of the Liverpool lads. I was going to nearly call him a Scouser, but one of the Scouse lads, one of the Liverpool lads that was, you know, one of the Liverpool lads that was there. He was like, "What's just happened? What I've just witnessed there. The father should have been doing unto you what you've just done unto him." I thought, well, that's one way of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got some feeds from the Facebook page, and then I've got a bit of the commentary from on the YouTube side. So if you go on to,
we can't see. How come we can't see the YouTube straggling down the side?
If you're on a computer, Steve, and you open up YouTube and you go onto the channel where it says live cast, you should be able to see, because everybody's logged in and putting their comments on.
Chat on the right here and all the messages, but I don't see anything.
Yeah. It says top chat, and it says everyone that's in the room next to the video. The comments are coming down there. So I was going to say, we're getting questions and we're getting people are dropping in now. So I can also read from the Facebook.
Yeah, I can't see nothing, mate. Trust me. I'm trying to see my glasses on. Never mind bloody looking.
Glasses.
Oh man.
Somebody's asking what do yous make of this gag order put on Tom Evans, but I'm not aware of a gag order being put on Tom Evans. So
I'll tell you, he came out and did a speech a couple of hours ago, and he says that he's from now on. He would ask everybody to leave and disperse. And this is going to be his last conference or talk on live. And he's got a great respect to all the hospital staff and all the services for doing what they've been doing on a very difficult side. And he just wants to be left alone now with the remaining time.
Go in the private. He wants to be in the private, doesn't he? By the sounds of it, Andy and Steve, he says, he's going to return to the private, not do anymore.
I did bombard the sister last night with information on how to enact in the private and things like this, and the notion of the CQV and a few other things, but their heads are sheds anyway. But we never know. And I also told that father that we're there acting in the private capacity. I let him know to him of our intention as well, you know. So the intent was there, and the good, clean heart and hands was all there. Everything was there present. We just needed to get into the blunking building to apply it, as it were, you know.
Parliament talking about that today, because I had a meeting down in Parliament down at Westminster.
Westminster.
Really?
Yeah, they did, because that Steve, I can't remember his name, he's an MEP.
Steve Barclay.
That's the guy. Yeah, he actually had a speech down here and said about what they're doing, and then he demanded Parliament to act on it. And then shortly after that, that's when
Alfie's law.
Yeah, absolute Alfie's law, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things getting played there that you'll not know anything about until, because if he's been told there's a gagging order, there'll be a reason for it.
Well, that's just speculation or gagging order. We don't know that he's under any type of order or gagging order or anything.
Yeah, it's just about spent 2 weeks fighting this through the system, yeah. And he's had all that support, and then all of a sudden, it is a bit odd.
It is a little bit odd.
It is a bit odd. It goes against what it's not. It goes against what he's been doing. Does that make sense? It's not natural. Yeah. He's seen that all the way through. You would see it to the end. Does that make sense?
Exactly. It's almost like someone's whispered an ear to him and told him to act privately, isn't it, brother?
Yes. Because it was getting out of hand. There was nearly 1 million people emailing and sending thingies to Parliament. It's gone nuts. It's went all over the world. It has went nuts. It really has. And you guys were there. You were there. You two of you were there.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped everything. Jumped in the old boogie buses and poof, straight up the road. You know what I mean? All night there. I know I was talking to you. I'm sitting doing a will and testament and everything. Oh, I have to come back. I'll catch you in a minute.
Exactly. It's all right.
Don't worry about it. I'll be back in a minute.
Because it's for the greater good, wasn't it, mate? But it's the cause. The cause is massive. You know, it's going to set the president. Is this going to set case law? It's either going to go really good or really bad for the country. It's going to set case law.
I'll tell you what it is. It's that MP, that MEP, has hit it right on the head. The state think they have got control of the children. And I don't know if he knows anything about the real, but even normal people, it doesn't know any of this, would still say you should have 100% rights to your children. Simple. So when it's not been given, then there's going to be questions. Simple as. That's for every family. Every family was going to say the same thing. Why would they put them into a hospital when there's a good chance you can't get them back?
Exactly.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
And the critical word there for me was think. They think they own the property.
Yeah. Only a legal conscript.
Exactly. In a fictitious, fictional world.
Yep.
Which is when you mentioned to the priest about the certificate and the bond and the blood, the child, the property is not, a certificate is not a bond. It's of the flesh and the blood. Is a soul, and he needs
exactly that
salvation.
That's what I said to that father last night. I'm not here today, Father. I'm not here to protect a piece of stationery tonight, Father. I'm here to get remedy and protection for the living flesh and blood of that little man up there. And we require your assistance in the reflection and in God's eyes. And I wouldn't let him go, mate. I was on full steam ahead with the red knuckles down. And I was going to carry that forward to every individual that I met. I had a full conviction that I wasn't leaving that scenario without some type of a remedy.
Yeah. I think
there's no criminals here. There's been no wrongdoing on our behalf here, so we have all the strength behind us.
Well, it's what I've been led to be told, and I don't know how true it is. There wasn't just the police there; they had the army there, and the MI5 and MI6 were there as well.
I did see some suits in some posh cars.
They were all there, and that's why I got. When you said Westminster, I went, now this could get very interesting very quickly. Because
that's one way of putting it.
Because no, but it's true, because even though he's only protected in the mile square of London, yes?
Yes.
So for him to go up to Liverpool, he has got to ask the state for permission to go that way. Does that now make sense?
Exactly, because he's going interstate.
Oh, they've now got an emissary for the Vatican going north, yeah? They're not going to just let him go north on his own, fella. That's not going to happen. Never in a million years.
Absolutely, and that's when he told me he had no Vatican protection. I beg to differ.
Yeah, no, he's got to get it all okay through the state. The Home Office in the state are the first ones to protocol when he has to go anywhere outside the jurisdiction.
I said that to him. I said, I do appreciate tonight, Father, that you may be called into question. You may have to answer to your superiors. However, I'm calling to your heart from mine to bring this boy some happiness and remedy to the end time of his life. We are time critical now. And he just couldn't turn me around, you know.
No, I know you couldn't. I was listening to it.
Good on you, brother. It's coming from you. It's coming from Dave. It's coming from the parents. It's coming from everybody in our family. You know, I'm trying to speak up and speak well and speak the truth on the path of bleeding righteousness. You're
giving the baby.
You can't stay honourable in a dishonourable system. It's difficult.
It's really the only way this is ever going to change is if everybody turns up and says, you know what, we don't want this. We're the ones that elect everybody. We're the one that put these in power. We don't need the power. They don't need the power. We can all look after ourselves quite easily with a normal way we've always lived through centuries.
We're self-governing, aren't we? Simple as that.
Correct.
I'm not saying we don't need a police state. We need some sort of authority, you know.
Because every place would have their own jurisdictions of. Do you get my drift? They would all have their own police force.
Absolutely, acting in the correct capacity.
In the correct capacity, absolutely correct. There'd be no debt, because there is no debt. Because
that's a fiction. You can't relieve a debt with another debt, can we?
No, because the minute the gold standard came into force back in 1913, I think it was 1931.
31, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's all gone. So there is no debt. There is no debt. There is something called a compound interest in a bank. A ledger. That's all it is.
Yeah. There's no substance when he's claiming.
Yeah. And then they get you to register every single thing, sign everything to make sure it's all gone. That's it.
There's the money. And
that's where it's at, mate.
Warning. What does it say there? Can we focus in on the warning so we can show what we read there? What does it say there?
This is not evidence of identity.
It is not evidence of identity.
For whom is it then? That's the question you've got to ask people. You've got to ask who. If that's not me, then who is it? Who am I?
Yeah, the birth certificate is just a register of an event. That's its official title in law.
Okay.
So that is. It could be an event of anything. Does that not make sense, guys?
What is to register?
We know, yeah. We'd like to explain to the other viewers.
You know what it is? What's this event? Because it says that's what it is.
Yeah, well, listen, boys. What it is, what's happened here in Liverpool, we've had an exposure of a legal system which has rendered the parents with possessory, with legal title for the child and not possessory title, like we'll call it allodial title or full title to the child. So we've had an external, third party trust corporation, the hospital, the CEO, the trustees trying to, administer some kind of safeguarding care, but in the capacity of maybe not trustee. And the parents of, the owners of the property, the creators, have somehow legally had that power taken away from them, or they've not had it taken away. They've submitted it somehow. So
they've given it away
for the benefit of the. For the benefit of the the Alfie's army and everybody that we've picked up afresh over the last 4 days, because it has been, Andy, your phone's been red hot, mine's been red hot. We're charging it 4 times a day. Could we break down? It's been crazy, Steve. So could we break down the birth certificate, the all caps, and like maybe the person and things like that, the persona, the mask? Explain that, because you two are well versed in that. I can talk it all day, but if you could put it in your own words.
Let's give Andy a shot on this one and see how good he is on this one on the birth, because I've spent my year on it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I've got it here ready, so I've got it in case to go out and put that.
Oh, for goodness sakes, talk about shine the light on Andy. So, yeah,
he did that last night. Trust me, he did it all last night.
Vowel, consonant. That's how I spell mine. So, if you ask me for my name and if I give it to you, are you going to accept it? That's a good question, isn't it? The birth certificate is, in my own layman's description, It's a person, and it's a corporate person. It's a corporate entity, much like any business name like QuickFit or ATS or any other tie brands are available. It's just a corporate entity. It's a person, and we're taught through our growing up and our learning that we are this person. And so when they call this person into question for commerce, whether it be good or bad, they're expecting you as the flesh and the blood to stand up in persona and be this person. And so when you break it down, a person in Latin is persona, which is to act, it's an actor. So if you're going to enact and be this piece of paper, it's a bit like wearing a jacket. It can face fine and forfeiture and get incarcerated and whipped and sprayed and belted, and all sorts of wrongdoing can be done to it before you get a chance to take it off again if you're unaware of the jurisdiction that this is in compared to your living flesh and blood. There's two parallels of law running here side by side. I, the man, am in the private. However, this is the commercial entity, the public copyrighted government uppercase dogma text name, that they have taken my second family name and uppercased it and legalized it as a legal corporate entity, of which I, as man, natural born, living, and born for remedy, shall benefit from in a trust relationship. There's a misconstrued trust relationship at the moment, whereby the authorities shall have me as the trustee with those as the beneficiary, where in actual fact, in real life, I am the beneficiary of this corporate entity, whilst they are the trustees. They are to see to it that I benefit from it and I don't suffer a harm, a loss, an injury, or a tort, or a tacit. And that's pretty much how I see this document. I always keep it on my person as my corporate person, should it ever be called for. So if they do require to speak to it, I can whip it out of my pocket, pass it to the said officer, constable, whoever they are, and they can talk to it freely if I've got time. So it may cost them, because sometimes it comes with a fee schedule. It depends if I'm feeling loving on the day, and it depends how you enact it to me. If you're loving to me, I'll be loving back. If you come giving it all the Barry Strong arm, then there may be a fee schedule attached. So that's how I see the birth certificate, and maybe I'm wrong. You know, if anyone wishes to correct me, that would be brilliant. Thank you.
Well done. Yay. Well
Yeah,
done, brother.
Steve, I love your laugh, mate. I tell you.
You're not wrong. You've just missed a few things. I would start with the paper first, the actual paper itself and the stamp on it. That's the first thing you need to understand.
Well, yeah.
That is a bond. That is a trust bond certificate. That's what that is. And let me explain what that is there now. So to do one of these trust bond certificates, not a birth certificate, guys, like everybody thinks it is, there's a name on it, which is your Christian name. Yeah. So that's that Christian name is the trustor or testator. Yeah, testator.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there is and then there's a surname on there, which is now the legal fiction coming into play. Actually, as a corporation sold.
Yes.
It's what gives it the trust. Okay. So there's three things coming into play now, because your first name's on the front of that, so you must be the trustor of that certificate. You must be, because your name's on it. That's what they're not telling you. You actually own this piece of property. Because if you look at the bottom of it, they're denying all knowledge of it. Now, they're quite clever, though. They are very clever in what they've done here. Because like you said, they always make you to be the trustee. But if your name's on it, and your father's name's on it, and your mother's name on it, there's somebody's got to be a beneficiary on here, surely.
Because we have a three-way triangle, don't we?
You certainly do. So you've now got 3 trustees, 3 beneficiaries, and 1 tester. You, whoever's name's on the front of that. So you're the owner of that trust. That's what they don't want you knowing about, because it's quite easy.
And that's what makes you settlor.
You are, a settler in the legals, you would argue that one. Yes, absolutely correct. You are the settler or donor, whatever you would like to argue that one, depending on
Grantor.
Civil, obviously. Or donor, settler. I go with trustor, me. Trustor and testator. That's what I do, because it's the will of the man. It's the will of the man or the woman coming forward, and then the trustor is the will of the man or the woman, and then from that, the man or the woman's body comes up to actually take range of this thing, which is then classed as a trustee.
For you must trust my word, Your Honour, for it is my honour.
Can I just say that last night then, Andy, what was our plan with regards to you know, opposing the legal construct? And we understand that they're presented in a high court, and they're gone. When you go to a court, you are to attend and you are to appear. So when you attend and you appear, you have chosen statuses. So as we informed the father via third party family and so forth on the day regarding his appearances and status and capacity, they seem pretty clueless as to regards to the private capacity of the court and how to invoke anything like equity, Steve, or to put a notice of equitable interest in the you know, the asset, which it sounds mad calling the, you know, your property, your blood, an asset, but
it's absolutely right. It's equity, it's surety.
Can you break that down a bit, because I'd like to let Alfie's army and the new viewers and the guys that are like really confused about what this status, capacity, private, trust, and then we'll lead on to what Andy and I was going to propose to have done with the you know, the priest as a diplomatic, you know, ambassador, if you like, someone with diplomatic immunity, or he was going to be a witness of the eyes and the seat to me and Andy, protecting baby Alfie as you know, holy contract, sacred contract servants from God. So
yes,
we could do with explaining this a bit, because there is a mass amount of confusion on this with, like, you know, trustee. Me and Andy could have gone down and said we'll become trustees, and we have a trust already established. We'll form a trust and put that in a trust. If we could, you know, expand on any of that, as you see, or, you know, break that down, because there is a lot of confusion, a lot. You know, we've explained how the priest was there. The priest really was there in a couple of capacities, and until he's invited or requested, or, you know, he's made aware that others know what his full capacity is and his you know, his abilities.
An ambassador to the Vatican.
Yeah, we know what, me and Andy know what our abilities are, which is why we went down and said, hang on, we can actually intervene here, become a barrier, become, you know, we can deflect the legal construct and say these guys no longer consent. I did a 12-minute video the other day. It's 24 hours old. It's had 7,000 hits, and I'm a little bit shocked by the response from it and what the comments are. But they did say, Alfie's army, that they watched the video and they put some comments on saying they're going to refer about the rescinding of the contracts and the no consent and moving into the private, and the capacity of which, you know, like a barrister in the court when they went in the public, he presented as Mr. Thomas Evans, will say, the all caps, but he could have presented privately, couldn't he, for instance?
No, the minute you get a lawyer or a legal representation, then you're actually dead. You're dead in the holy seas, they call it. That you've got no rights now. You're now plea bargain, as they call it, because you're already lost by default.
That's right. If you say, it comes back to the old time saying, we are now dead in the water.
Dead in the water.
All these things start having relevance and meaning as you go through your journey of learning. All these little old grandma sayings all have strong resonance and prevalence in everyday life, don't they, Steve?
Absolutely correct. I'm a big believer in listening to the old ones. My gran taught me well as well. She was spot on with a lot of things, my gran. Absolutely spot on.
Up the creek.
Worth your weight in gold. Worth your weight in gold, you are, brother.
You can't teach your granny how to suck eggs.
So, yeah, solicitor would be a trustee, you know, they accept a position, you know, and they take it. They are considered and have the capacity of a trustee, don't they, in effect, in reality?
Yes, and they act for the cloak as beneficiary to get the best deal for themselves from the legal fiction.
For them to operate inside that fiction, they've all got to sign up to the Bargill certificate.
Yeah, they've got to be of that society.
So you're a lawyer, an advocate, or a barrister, or a judge. You all sign up to the Bargill certificate and the Law Society.
the Temple Bar, which comes from the Knights Templar, which comes from the churches of, you know, and we've sent back the history there, Babylon, cardinals, the popes, the grey pope, the white pope, the black pope, the red cardinal, the black nobility. We have done our research on this. So when we come to the judiciary,
can we say then that
see the games and the disclosure there? Go on.
When you go into court,
Anyway.
if you go in there, if you go into a court, as a Mr. or a Mrs., then we've got this far, and you are represented by somebody of that society, then you are just a fiction.
I'm going to say something about that straight off for the offset, guys, so everybody knows this straight off, because I do this all the time, and whoever I help, they have to do this themselves, and they do it. That's why you need to have a look at that. What I was telling you about the transcripts,
Yeah.
Everything's got to be done by consent or by John, are you accepting it or agreeing to it? Yes.
Yes.
The minute you don't get Mr. or surname or Mrs. or surname in any kind of courtroom, there is no direction. So let me just explain that to you. So there is no power play here anymore. You're on an equal balance.
Mm-hmm.
Now the judge can either accept it or not accept it. Does that now make sense?
Yeah.
You want about not claiming a title?
Absolutely
no
correct,
title.
Let's
explain it for the audience. Yeah, it's no title is what he's referring to there, I believe.
Yeah, because there is no title, there is no bond to claim, because there's no bond coming forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. But while they have got jurisdiction and while they have gained joinder with you, if you are in their domain as a Mr. or a Mrs., we obviously know these people aren't there for free, are they?
No.
But you know, it may look like it's all happening. It may look like it's all proper and above board, and these people up on the benches are speaking to you, and you're replying to them with your verbiage. But little do you know, whilst replying to them, those people have no obligation to hear you. You know, so you think you're in there for an appeal or a retrial or getting some sort of a justice, uttering a language that isn't of their language, you see. And this is why you're not getting justice, because although your mouth's moving,
you can't see or hear you.
They can't see or hear you. And this is what people can't cognise. They can't believe that is happening in the law courts because they're not aware of the jurisdiction.
Absolutely. And there is 3 jurisdictions, and that's a frightening thing here.
Mm-hmm.
There is a maxims of law, which is classed as which most people would think is common law, and then you've got legal and civil. Does that now make sense? Which intermix between the 3. Yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
This is where people get confused. They say there's only 2 jurisdictions. It's either civil or criminal. No, it's not. Civil, legal, which jumps between all 3, and then real crime. Real crime.
That's why if you commit murder in this country, it's contrary to common law.
Absolutely. Common law to the land is the only time that comes into play.
But mostly they'll try and tie you up in legalities otherwise if you drop your cigarette in the wrong place or whatever you've done.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with getting an address and a name out of that one.
You killed me.
What's your name, fella?
No one loves your laugh there, Steve.
Tell me.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. What's your name? What's yours?
That's right.
Dave. These tit for tats. I'll tell you yours if you tell me mine. Let's play the game.
Game on.
Yesterday we got asked questions. Who are we? Where are we from? And the reply given was, we are noblemen. We are sovereign noblemen here in a private capacity to come and express the concern and give some information to the immediate family to pass on. You know, and that's how you govern yourself, isn't it? We are fully aware of what common law is and what harm, injury, and loss is, and we learn that at an early age in school. You know, we don't act out. And if you was ever in a violent situation at school, you remember the kids like pushing each other. You start, no, you start, and it was like 5 minutes before anybody ever got going, because at the back of your mind you knew whoever did throw that first punch is going to be the one that ends up in front of the headmaster answering for it. So we learn this at a very early age, and we're at a deficit in society with our knowledge on the laws. They've swamped us with all these statutes and codes, and these are governable by consent to your person. So what we have in effect is man-made government, and then governments produce persons and citizens and employees, and we've taken on one or all three of them roles and become a person, a citizen, or employee.
Through tort and
when you go to court,
agreement.
then the way that I would like to present in a court would be to go by special appearance in a private capacity or as a friend of the court, depending on the circumstance. And I would be fully aware of my, status and capacity and how to address the court and what verbiage to be saying, and not to claim the titles as you say.
If the body of authority asks you your name and your date of birth, and you're fully straight up and give it straight out, you have then contracted. It's joined us straight away, isn't it?
You've just brought up the bond. You've just activated the bond.
Yes, instantly.
And this is what you've activated that bond.
And this is what people have got to know. This is the very first.
They ask for the name. So if you claim the name or you take the name
behind the shadows, the commerce, the real financial surety, as we call it, of wealth. That's the bond.
That's why we as man are the surety for it. Yes, we are the surety for the bond. Simple. And without stepping forth, they can't claim. They can't open the bond.
But we are where we had before the debtor creditor. That's where we've looked at the public and the private A for V endorsement. But that all becomes with the bond and the birth certificate and the Gold Insolvency Act and so forth. But if we just kind of concentrate on how the parents, the allodial title holders, the creators of baby Alfie, have been subject to orders such as if your child starts losing, life support and he starts fading, if you give him CPR, not the civil procedure rules, but the resuscitative process, then you will be charged with assault. So how did they end up in that situation? They consented and they agreed, but without their full knowledge. So if you ever get caught up in a deal and you're not fully informed, then that deal doesn't stand, and you can rescind it. But what our aim was last night was to go, look, guys, and we did address close members of the family, didn't we, Andy? And we were quite intense and full on, but we was direct and we was concise, and we compacted it. We said, what have you got? What are you doing? And who have you seen? And they explained it all. We addressed it. We stopped, the chat, and then we moved direction and said, this is what we think. And it was very insightful, to say the least. Putting a birth certificate into a common law court, we said, whoa, that's pointless. It's futile. Common law is public. It's an at law public level. You're dealing with property and you're dealing with yourselves in the public. You need to move yourselves into the private and start to invoke other such laws, like we'd say canon and ecclesiastical, because you've got the house of God, representative in the form of a priest on site, and you've had the consulate and other such things available. And we'd urge you to go to the private and to look at moving out of common law, because common law jurisdiction is public, and you don't really have any remedy there.
Assumptions and presumptions.
We give you remedy, can't we?
You have to automatically step into the common law jurisdiction, rebutting their assumptions and presumptions. So that's something.
Invoking
if you can, you need to stay away from that if you can. When you're in this realm, it depends on your case, but. For this particular one, common law, I wouldn't have thought would brought a remedy. I would invoke probably common law. If you're making a claim.
Was still part of the Admiralty Sea, which is still maritime law. Guys, you've got to be really careful when you go down there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's maxims, the maxims of law, which run side by side with common law, but which is above common law and above every other jurisdiction. So they're very, very tightly packed in together. Words intermixed to them. Do you get my drift?
That's what I was saying. There's two parallels running there. You got to understand the jurisdiction of them.
All to do with the wording. Once you start the wording, they'll know where you're going with jurisdictions.
Yes. Well, all of our words are spellings, and we cast our spell or the verbiage, or we clarify it with our pen. And so that's what another old saying. Look, you must be careful what you wish for.
You're always signing the blue, never ever black.
Now, Tim, this one puts you in the bed. I know what you mean.
We had to explain a good example, because we've got new guys on, Steve. We had to explain in a nutshell, in a compressed amount of time, what a trust is and how a trust can be utilized and expressed verbally. So Andy used an example.
Well with your trust. You've got this. You know what you're doing with your trust. Do you get my drift? Your trust.
Yes,
Your trusts are a direct attack against a legal system. And it is a legal construct, your trust. You've got settlers, donors, trustees. You understand what I'm saying? You're putting everything in and backing everything up. You've got that. That's your argument in law under the legals. Does that make sense?
That's our court.
Yeah, that's your court, and you're
yes, indeed.
Like I said, it's you can't argue with what you're doing with your trust. Your trusts are spot on. My trust is just something different. That's all. That's the only difference.
I know.
I just go over the maxims and things
Steve,
like that.
Thank you.
Ecclesiastical. You know what I mean? Yours are good.
Yeah, and that's why we. So, thank you, brother. Respect for that. Much love. I'll forget. So, what we had to do, we were sat in the private. We managed to get away from earwiggers, and we went somewhere private into the Iron Horse that had taken us there. And we said, look, this is what a trust is. They can be expressed verbally, they can be public, they can be private. They involve three. There's a triangle. And Andy used an example that was given to him at a previous lecture or seminar that we did, where a babysitter arrives to look after a child, property of the parents. The parents are the owners of the child. The babysitter does not own that property, but is in control and legal title and ownership, responsibility, legally, all of that business. For the child in the parent's absence. There may be some written terms that they say here, these are the rules for the, it might not be an infant, it might be a teenager, so there may be certain rules applicable. And excuse me, he said, so the parents go out, the babysitter is the trustee, the baby is the beneficiary, and the parents are the settlor. So in this situation, you have the parents, the baby, and the hospital, and he just flipped it around quickly to show the various relationships of, parents, children, property, trustees, and then he linked it to the registration and the all caps name and the private name and endorsing with the signature. So you got to appreciate we had to try and encapsulate a lot of complex information and bestow it on very tired and fatigued and confused and guy they'd also listened to common law advice and been going down the line of, and it was quite painful to be to be seeing and to cognizing all the effort and to have a third court case in 3 days and this little Alfie to be hanging on by a hair's length, and it was just wow. Yeah, we really need to get this out there. We need to get this even if this doesn't get any more exposure and it goes private and the family don't come out and do any newscasts and Alfie gets out of there and goes to Italy, we will still use this in a respectful way to highlight how the parents have lost power. And when mothers go to register at the General Register's office and have a chat with a bondsman, he's not the bondsman for Christ, he's the bondsman for an organization that deceives you. And in the books and the scriptures it says beware of deception, because a certain dude deceives. He might have horns and wear a red suit, and he says he'll deceive you. So you need to know exactly what you are doing and what you are, what language you speak.
Yeah. And that leads me on to a nice maxim of law. Yeah, a nice maxim of law there, brothers. I love it. Equity aids the vigilant.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does. They're not vigilant.
So it's all in our application. If we can apply ourselves in the correct way, and if you want and need to learn, then you shall. Anything is possible. That's why we've got pilots and brain surgeons and such other clever people. If you wish to do these clever things, you just can. So it's all in the application. You've got to apply yourself, and you've got to be needing and wanting to, because you can't do it half-assed. You can't jump in at N and come to Z, 1, 2, miss a few, 99, 100. You've got to start at the beginning, like Steve has said so, and you've got to work your way through concisely and constructively all the way to the end to completely.
Make your own mistakes in life, and then always remember them and learn from them.
Because to understand is to stand under, and ultimately, if it ever comes down to the crunch, it's you that's going to have to be standing under your own cognition and your own words, and it's all going to be onto you. Anybody can stand in the background and give you help and advice and all that, but ultimately the ball will be with you. So application is all for me. It's the key.
learning. It's learn everything. If you learn everything, you can't go wrong. If you question everything, even better.
Absolutely.
Question everything.
Question everything and trust nothing. That's right.
If you just reminded me that often in a court case you can find out, or a claim, not a court case, you can often find out by looking at the maxims that there is no legal standing for a case. What we have become quite proficient in noticing is that if you look at all of the paperwork up until the point of the claim and the claim itself, you can often find that they don't have a leg to stand on, and there is no case going forward. But we'll say that they often
there is no claim on civil.
Yeah.
There is no.
Yeah, and sometimes Steve, they go to litigation and miss out the mitigation part. Yeah, there is an extreme amount of mitigation that can be applied in a lot of civil claims that we're seeing, and that seems to get overlooked. And the organisations go straight to the litigation part, especially with the traffic infractions and stuff. It's heavily automated. Northamptonshire County Court Bulk Centre. You know, we're seeing the system. It's digressing from Baby Alfie and what's happened here legally, but there was an automated system in play, and it's a stronghold. It operates on data and presumptions and assumptions, and that's how the Anglo, Saxon inhabitants of this landmass are getting eaten alive. There's an invisible system that's automated that operates on presumptions and assumptions. It classifies your blood as its property unless you say otherwise. Could we mention about unum sanctum, Pope Boniface, any of the decrees, the claims on souls, property, all of that stuff? That if you look back in time, you can see what the establishments and so forth, the Roman Catholics, to reference them, have claimed. The papal bulls. It's not so much Queen Elizabeth and fraud. It's a system that's designed to give you an exit, to give you an instrumentation to use. But what they've done, they just disguised the instrumentation so well, we haven't seen a way out of it.
And we've been going there free man.
And I'm not the name. I'm the body and the flesh. I don't have an international treaty, and we've turned it around from fighting and aggravating and being vexatious and mixing jurisdictions to an intelligent, articulate, defensive way of limiting the judges. I said it to you the other day, Steve, on the phone a year ago. This would have cracked me Swede. It would have proper mashed me too. But limiting a justice's discretion and things like that, and becoming a litigant in person, it's a powerful business. A powerful realm that you can learn. It really is.
You've got the minute you mention a beneficiary to anything, alarm bells start flashing straight away, because they understand. You understand what this is all about now. Do you get me? It's all to do with bonds and trusts and things. You get me?
I know that you know the rules. That's right. I know that you know the rules.
You mentioned beneficiary. Who's the beneficiary here today then? Somebody's got to be the beneficiary if they've got a trustee involved.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for instance, I've
sent
an email. I've sent an email to Steve Barclay's ministerial office directly to his MP direct address, because I emailed him 3 weeks ago. He hasn't replied. His office, the generic email. So I found his office's telephone number, rang up, said I've got a beneficiary I'm acting on behalf. It's been a delayed amount of time. Can we get an answer from Steve? I'm making his office aware of infractions on the beneficiaries of the National Health, NHS England, but that's a trust, as you two are well aware. The hospitals, They are military installations, but they are trusts as well. Each one is a trust, and they have a trustee at the top. The family have explained last night they were aware of that, and they put questions to Alder trustee about the conditions and things, there.
Chief executive. I just see it as
yeah. That's it.
The chief executor, say no more.
That's exactly correct. The trustee, the fiduciary ruler.
Exactly.
So there are people like Steve.
Go for the executioner.
Steve Barclay works as the current Conservative social and health minister. I'm paraphrasing, I've only just picked up on him, but he came out on the middle of March and apologized for 450 deaths caused by one single trust. It was an ITV News release in the middle of March, which I exposed in the middle of, during the Alfie scandal and the Alder hate. And he came out and said that they'd also paid out about £2 million in compensation for failings of the trustees disclaiming their duties. And, this United Kingdom Trust has principals and agents acting on it, and it also has trustees. We classify the trustees as the government and ministerial bodies that then have the agents, such as Healthcare UK, Care UK, and various like collection agencies working for Nottinghamshire County Court Bulk Handling Centre. These are the agents, and then you've got the principals and the trustees in the hospitals, the schools, and the government, and they're all running amok. And if we don't correct the relationship by expressing it with the DVLA, you know, the hospital or the school, Andy, you could reference something about I don't know if it's too personal, but how you've corrected the local you know, arm of the government in the educational realm, where the Department for Education has told you how to manage your property, and then you've explained who manages what, and they didn't quite like it, did they?
No. As soon as I mentioned that they're putting infractions upon my property, causing duress and my self-alarm as the settlor, they are doing a wrong upon my property, and I will hold them individually culpable. I will take their individual capacity to the claims court, and I will hold them at Queen's Bench individually for anything they go against.
Chancellor's Bench, which is official title.
Exactly. So they did pull me up, and obviously I rattled cages because the head principal called me for a meeting 2 days later and presented my notice back to me that I'd put all of their chiefs on notice, and she says to me, "This isn't legal." I said, "Well, to be honest with you, it's not going to be, because I don't speak legalese, Chinese nor Japanese. But let me tell you that it's extremely lawful. And if you go against any of my wishes or requirements that I've written on that document, I shall bring you individually to claim to a court. And if you don't think it's possible, then please try me." And
always possible. That's always possible.
And
so corrected relationship.
Yeah, you've got an N. I don't know if you're familiar with an N244 forum.
No, Steve.
County court.
An N244 forum is not just for arguing about properties and businesses and buildings you're losing and things like that. It's for any kind of tort against the man or the woman. You just need to put it in. Even a cease and desist order from a court can be put in there.
What was that, an NQ44?
It's one of your remedies in law, guys. And then you'd ask, it tells you where you want to go. You say you go to the Country Division, the Queen's Division, straight away. What for? Because of this. It's a private matter. Boom, send it in. Pay the money.
Can I just say that you can suffer a tort, for those that are listening, you know, you can suffer a tort verbally. And this is what we're saying by, you know, by people ringing you up, cold calling you and gaining joinder with you, asking you details and whatnot. That these are the instances and the circumstances that you can suffer tort and tacit agreements unbeknowing. So, you know, just be careful and who you're speaking to, whom you're giving your details to, and definitely always second question before you put your pen to paper and give anybody your signature.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
Or sign without liability, all rights reserved. You know, none waived, no title claimed. You are able to sign without liability, or you can sign with full knowledge and accept the liability. That's what we need to give man the option of knowing what you are doing, whose is what, a signature and an autograph. You know, when you go to a celebrity, you don't go and get a signature from them. You get an autograph because you go into a real live human boy, or whatever.
You're getting the autograph of that persona.
Absolutely.
You know.
You see, it sounds basic, but
it's the most powerful thing on the planet is your signature, apart from the man or the woman themselves.
Be very careful what you're doing with it.
We call it an equitable asset.
Yes.
Yeah, your equitable asset. It's the only thing.
Yeah. I'll phrase it. It's a valuable consideration, and so always consider before you give people your value. It's right there in the title. You know. So, and guys, I've got to chip off because I've got to go up at stupid hours.
You look absolutely knackered there, Andy.
Yeah, well, you know, one can only endeavour to try. It's a special case, weren't it? You know, it's at the nation's heart. So, if we could have unraveled...
Respect to you, what you did during the Dave. Respect.
Thank you very much, mate, and back to you too. So, peace and love and light, one and all.
Not many man and woman can do what you did. Trust me.
I know. Nice one, Andy. Fucking legend. Legend he is.
Thank you, boys and girls, and I'll catch you all later. Okay.
Have a good night, mate.
Okay. Peace and love. Goodbye.
Ciao, bello.
Just me and thee, kid. Just me and thee.
Steve, we've got some questions and comments. We've got some work here, lad.
Is it question and answer time now, is it?
Do you want to have a go?
I can't. I can't see any of them, you know.
YouTube, if you just go onto the YouTube main page, it should just pull it up there. I don't know why it's not.
Yeah. I've no idea.
Just sort my mic out and turn my volume down. Echo away. Right then, we're going to start from the beginning. We'll work our way from the top, which is the oldest first. Lindsay, what do you make of this gag order? We answered that. We're not sure that there is a gag order. We're aware there's been a statement, and he's made a decision, and he might want to remain in the private and make some tactical moves. So we'll respect his wishes for privacy, and we'll wait to see what comes out. We'll ignore the rag, the media, the mainstream, and we'll wait for private avenues of first-hand knowledge is what we operate on and what we promote. So yeah. David DeJour says good work on AE's behalf. Check judgment, decision, conditions for no-fly to Italy terms. Any restriction other than that, i.e. train via. Well, David, we'd argue that they could have gone and said that we don't consent. These are public statutory mandated codes that are governable to persons, citizens and employees. And they could have, as we've just said earlier, we could have corrected the relationships, and you can correct the trust, as Steve and Andy and I have said verbally as well. You don't need a court date or anything, do you, Steve? So
no, and a cease and desist order there and then on the spot.
Lawful ways, you're saying? Yeah, we got lawful ways of rebuttal and breaking and rescinding and operating. And when you've got a priest there, wow.
Can't argue with a priest. Hope they can.
Society, check out the Rohan Justinian Deception channel. That's a good channel. I've checked that out actually. That is a good one. Hi guys, maximum respect. I need to be in the private too, live trying again. If you understand about your persons and management, and then that's easily done. It sounds more complicated than it is, but it's just down to knowledge, isn't it? And knowing who you are, Steve. Yeah,
absolutely. Know who you are first. Always. Once you get to know who you are, it's dead easy after that. Legal, man or woman. Simple. You can jump one side or the other depending on how you want to act. You know what I mean? It's your choice is entirely up to you. I can do both. It's quite easy for me because I've done it that long.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got to.
Yeah, I can.
I'm cognising the ecclesiasticals and canons, but I'm.
Just comes naturally easy now. Years and years of playing this.
An example would be, an example would be two examples. When I was little and I was a little rapscallion at say 12, 13, maybe I'd found Mad Dog 2020 and I was going to fun fairs and, living life as a teenager. Sometimes the old Bill, as we called them then, in, the early 90s, Jam Sandwich would pull you up, Peugeot 305 to be precise. And he'd say, "Oh, boys, have you got anything up on your persons?" And then he'd search you. And we'd be like, "No," but I recollect that exact verbiage. Your person. My person. Well, we were real life boys running around.
Yeah, it's a legal fiction. There is no persons here today.
And then, no, you know what I mean? It's blurry. It's hidden in plain sight often, isn't it? It's once you point it out and spell it out.
It's all words. The police came onto this guy's land a couple of weeks back, and I just helped him secure his land, and I was in Cornwall. Seeing Helen, sorting out some business down with Helen, and the phone went, and they phoned us. They said, "We've got the police, environment agency, and the council on my land, and they're trying to get us off the land." I said, "We're in court. They can't do that. We're in the Crown." I said, "What they showed you?" Or they showed us some sort of warrant. I said, "Oh, really?" I tell you what, walk down now and talk to them. So and pass the phone to them. So I'm going to talk to them. So they walked down, and you could hear them saying, "You've got no contract. There's no consent. Yeah, it's trespass, criminal trespass." Now the police are aiding and abetting crime here. They were ignoring the family. He passed the phone to the environment agency, and I said, "Can you answer the question? Who are you here today?" He says, "I'm the environment agency." I went, "All right, okay then." And he went, "Under the Criminal Procedure Act," I said, "I'm going to stop you dead right there on your spot." And he went, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm going to ask for one thing and one thing only." And he went, "What's that?" I said, "Have you got an indictable warrant signed and stamped by a judge for the Crown Court? And he went, no. I said, well, I'll see you in court with a subpoena. I'll give it to the policeman that's standing inspector next to you, because I'm going to ask for the same thing. But that's what we've done. They turned round within 2 minutes of that call and left. That's on a phone call. That's me phoning to Cornwall and they're in Kent, because they didn't have an indictable warrant. That is the only thing that they can use on the criminal. Indictable warrant. It's got to be stamped and signed by a judge. It's got to be. I know what they are. They're stamped up and signed, and then whoever's using it says name's underneath it. Anything else is not worth the paper it's written on. It's a contract.
Yeah, we see a warrant for taking control of goods order that could have been made on anybody's Microsoft Word. To be fair, it doesn't bear.
It's got to be
any kind of authentication.
Criminal offence.
Yeah, and also we'll say not Northamptonshire County Court Bulk Centre with a penalty charge notifications do the same there. There is no judges, there's no qualified or trained anybody legally trained, but yet they administer the charges and manage the cases on appeals and certain things like that there, don't they? Administrative process fully.
2p to the pound they buy the debt in for there, but the bid on it 2p to the pound. Yeah, they have a load of debt collectors in there, 2p to the pound, they're bidding on the debt, and then that's when it gets issued out and they take it. Yeah. 2p in the pound. So they bought your debt off. Show me the contract. Bring the bills of exchange in and a few other things to add insult to injury. Promissory note under the bills of exchange. I love that one. The bills of exchange, the most powerful tool that anybody will use if they know how to do it properly. You can issue any kind of bill to any corporation on a fiduciary rule, and the minute they touch it, they have 72 hours to return that to you. The minute it doesn't, it falls under the Larceny Act, which is now changed to the Theft Act. And let me explain what that means. Yeah, that's the law. That is the law.
I like this one.
No, it's the law, mate. I know it. 72 hours or 73 hours. They are now honour bound to accept it, so the debt's been paid. And they've got to produce that, because the minute they can't produce it, it's a Theft Act. 20 years in prison under the criminal rules. So you would do an affidavit of truth, send it to the court, have all the evidence, and sit back and say nothing. Because you took copies of it and everything, you see. Backed it and backed it and backed it and backed it all off. Very easy to do. It really is. It's not hard. If you have a trust, stamp it, sign it, send it. We do this all the time. It's absolutely brilliant. Council,
so, like with the legal name and with the birth certificate, you are actually the authorised agent and representative in office. So, with regards to this, David Giaramita, the date of birth and surname, I am not that. I'm David of the family, or David and Giaramita, or depending on what paperwork and what status I'm claiming, your title affixes to that, you know. So, yeah. Absolutely. So I would say to you, Steve, that I am, David, and I have a given name, and that I am of the family Giaramita of the moment, or the house of Giaramita, or the estate of, if I've done all my trust, like what up to your level, what you've done, and I have a legal name, which is David Giaramita, and he has a date of birth and the surname. You can argue that all day long. This is where I draw it into, and the financial side is that David Giaramita has a national insurance number, and that particular national insurance number is a treasury.
The national insurance number. The national insurance number is to pay off a debt. We've got to pay off for things that we were not honour bound because we were never here. For everybody to hear. So that's why it's the 65 or 70 now that they've moved the working time right before retirement. That's all that is. That's just paying off a debt. That's something totally different. That's a separate bond in its own. The birth certificate is a very great tool if you can use it properly. It is a very, very dangerous tool against them if you know what you're doing. When we do these things with that birth certificate, we put it inside your will and testament. and it's in there under an agent. You're an agent. It is an agent. That's what that thing is. Now the difference being now is you're entitled to something called royalties. Anybody trading that name or using that name without your consent, your consent, is now liable under the trust laws because it's part of a trust estate. Yours.
Yeah, I get the.
You've claimed it.
I get that. Yeah.
That's why it's got on the bottom. This is not proof of ID. You've got to ID it. You've got to claim it. Claim it. Take it back. Own it. Use it for commerce. That's its job. That's what it's there for. There is a flip to both sides of that thing. There is a debt side to it. There is a remedy side to it, depending on how you're going to foresee it. You don't know about an estate. Nobody knows they've got an estate until they get bankrupt. Yeah. That's the one. That'll do it. Yeah, one of them will do it. Yeah, wax stamp.
No, I just wanted to show you. Well, I've got this. This is a certified copy of a deed, a change of name. So my surname was attached to my father's name before, and I had it changed from Hanlon to Giaramita. So this was some years ago, like in 2013. But what you've got here also is like an embossed stamp on there on the original. I've laminated the original one, but it's a change of name deed, and it says at the top that it's a deed poll here, what it's for, and you put witnesses and things like that. But a deed, so you have a deed and a declaration in the trust also, don't you? Paperwork. This is the only deed I've got to hand. This is a different deed for, you know, the UK poll deed services. You know, changing the name by deed poll is what I've done at the applicable offices and got a witness and a stamp on there, and it's all for. I didn't know at the time what I was doing. This is, you know, I was just waking up, but I was playing games. I thought, okay, then let's have a go, and I had a look. So, but in the trust you have a deed and a declaration as well, don't you? And Thomas today has come out and performed a declaration to the media as well today. So they're very powerful things, and they're used all the time, but in different contexts, aren't they?
On a notice, so there's a few things they can word them on. Absolutely correct.
But
it's a frightening concept when you actually see what you can actually do with the tools you've got. Do you get my drift? Because they don't. And I know this might sound silly, this coming from what we all know, but I've seen it, so I know this for a fact. They do not put nothing in front of you you cannot give a remedy for.
Yeah, that's law. You cannot. Yeah, you provide.
I sound a bit off my head, but I'm not, because if you actually do the research, understand the standing, and then protect your assets, then you have all that power back. And it's quite easy to do once you've done it. It's not easy at first, but once you start getting into it, it becomes very easy to you, because it comes naturally easy to you, because you can jump in and out of a system as and when you want to do that. Great.
Yes, I've got one. Let me speak then. I've got one. So you're out on the street and you've just nipped to the shop to go and get yourself some Rizzler and chocolate, because you've got the munchies, we'll say, and officer stops you because you're running down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning to get to the corner shop before he shuts, or the garage, whatever. And he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you're like, "I'm just going to shop." And he says, "What's your name?" "My name's Dave. David. Disco Dave." "What's your full name?" "My full name is David." "Don't be funny. Give me your name." "My name is David. There is a surname or a family name attached to that. You may want that. That is Giaramita." "Okay, then. Mr. Giaramita." No, there's no title, officer. Are you an officer or a constable?" "What language might you be speaking today, officer? You know, is it legalese or is it Anglo-English? Are you a constable? Are you under oath? Am I free to go? Am I under arrest? Oh, you're acting a bit dodgy there, David. Mr. Giaramita." No, there's no Mr. Just David, if you don't mind. That's the family name. "And what's your date of birth?" "Well, my date of birth is hearsay. When I was born, I was very little, and I don't know my date of birth. My person's date of birth, if you'd like that, I could provide to you, but I am not a person. You are dealing with the flesh and the blood, and I'm in, I'm what would I say? I'm a private person. I won't tell him I'm the flesh and the blood and the man, because he doesn't recognise that. So I'm a private person. I'm not in the public. I'm not wishing to contract. I don't want your services. I'm not a criminal. Am I free to go?" And that's me managing the trust, you see, but without accepting the full public liability. If he says, "Hey up, pal," when I'm running down the street, "What's your name? Where are you going?" "My name's David Giaramita." "Why?" "What's your date of birth?" "Blah, blah, blah." "Where do you live?" "Blah, blah, blah." Contracted. I've given him. I've agreed. He's now, okay then. Database time, isn't it? Searching. "Oh, actually, you paid them parking tickets, that council tax. Oh, come with me, son. Off we go." "No, thanks."
Absolutely. Contract.
You know what I mean?
Consent.
That's managing a trust, though. That's your trust, you know. Yeah.
If I get pulled by the police, I always ask for the oath of office. First thing I ask for.
I bet you do.
I do. He asked me who my name is. I say I'm Steve, and he goes, "What's your surname?" And I go, "Before we go any further, I would like to know if you've got an oath of office, because if you've not got one, we ain't talking, fella." Unless you're going to arrest me, and then I'll sue your arse in court.
Yeah. Affirmations is what you do.
I don't even get in a conversation with him. That's the two lines I like using. As simple as. As soon as he tells me,
yes, brother,
what's your surname or a mister, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Instantly, the minute that comes out of the mouth, poof.
Yeah.
If it's all right, fella, what you up to? Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm doing this. All right, you're a bit sweaty or whatever. Yeah, I've just ran out of the house to catch a chippy or whatever. All right, no worries. On you go. Yeah, they're fine. All good.
Yeah, there's no need, is there? There's no need.
Legalese, person. Nah, don't want to know. Nah, not people.
All right, we've covered that, fella. There's questions in there regarding trusts and persons and things like that. So I'm glad we've got that out. Yeah, we just wanted to go. We've exhausted that, to be fair. I feel sorry for other parents in there with a similar situation ahead of them. It doesn't give them. Yeah, the next ones. It's not just baby Alfie. This legal situation. There's going to be hundreds of thousands more across the world in these situations. If you've got a birth certificate and you're registered, then that property is considered the Crown's. Yeah, ward of the state.
I know it's not nice to say, but that's the reality of it. You are a ward of the state the minute that's signed.
Albert Matthews, I own my property and no one else. Even if he was registered, will make my choices. Well, yeah, but you'll be legally liable for that if you haven't corrected and claimed an Albert, and you try and. That's what I said to the father at one point. I did say, you know, if you don't sort this out and it comes to the point where they come in with the needle and you try to restrain or you try to go, them officers will arrest and charge. It's like, you know, this is time. This is really sensitive, and those officers are there. They're not there for the protection of the child. They're there to stop and get you guys. You know, if you act up or if anybody storms in.
They're looking for some sort of confrontation. They want some sort of trouble. That's all they're looking for. Trouble. Make these guys look the bad guys. That's all it is. Which is an awful thing to say, really, because at the end of the day, everybody should be thinking about the family and the child. Simple. We're not there to hurt anybody. We just want to make sure everybody's happy and happy. All good. End of. Nobody has the right to deny parents or children's well-being. Nobody has that right. I don't care who they are. Only God has that. God's the only one that will answer to that, and everybody will answer to God eventually. Simple as. Everybody's got the maker. Whatever maker you want to say you've got, we've all got one. Simple.
God is not a respecter of persons, is it, Steve?
Yeah, he's not going to turn around and say, hey, I was just following orders. He's not going to listen to that one, trust me. No, mate, you're a man or a woman. You've got a conscience. Use it. That's what it's for.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. Oh,
I was just following orders. Doesn't cut nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, and the damages will be claimed against you, the man, the person, against you privately. Damages will be claimed against you, the officer that's now not using his due diligence and discretion, and you're forcing me to contract and come into the public when there is no crime. And I've told you, and I've set out the status. So here you go, have this unilateral agreement or whatever thing we come up with, or that you've got, or that you're pulling me out of, you're touching trust property. You're going into pulling me out of the private into the public. There's going to be a fee for that, especially when there's no crime.
Well, let's go on about a trust, shall we? Because this is what a lot of people don't understand about a trust. A trust is quite simple. It's an office, and the highest office is a man or a woman's. That's it, simple as. There's nothing higher. The highest above that is God or the divine creator, if you want to call it that. Simple. So divine creator, house of man or woman. That's it. There is nothing higher than them two. So any other trustee out there that's a corporation has no claim on a true estate, a true trust. They have no claim on it. Simple, because they're not allowed to. That's the rulings. That is the ruling. So any claims against an estate is quite easily killed if you have your own estate. Does that make sense?
Yes, we know about the doctrine of notices. These are done and done notices like houses, mortgages, notice of equitable interest and things like that. Yes, we know about these. They try to use underhanded tactics, but you're on about the governance and how the respect is there with the trust and the hierarchy of it. So it's a bit like contracts. Only a man can make a contract with a man. So we have a misconception of what a contract is, Steve, don't we, as well?
There's got to be witnesses. There's got to be witnesses to that contract, fella. Independent witnesses to that contract. It's like an oath.
We'd call that.
It's like an oath.
We'd call that an agreement.
Exactly the same thing as a contract.
Yeah. So a body of words. When you go somewhere and you sign, you get given a document and say you've gone for a bank loan and you're on your own and you've asked for the loan and they give you the text and they want you to sign. You sign into a body of words that has been constructed by the bank or the lender, not you. So you're agreeing to that and you're giving your asset to endorse it. So that's a constructed agreement. And when we've traced back, that's exactly what you're getting into. And if there's two signatures on there and it's a mortgage, then we'd probably classify you as joint settlers within that, trust in itself, but agreement trust. And it gets complicated with the finance and the mortgages. But with regards to a contract, the two guys, me and Steve, might sit down and write down a contract of what services and things we might provide for each other in a hypothetical sense. And then we'd both sign it and agree and then maybe make a copy and give it to someone to look after. And then we'd have a copy each, won't we? And our signatures or thumbprints and then signs over the thumbprints. If we do it as proper men, then we might put both thumbprints and sign over it, copy it. We've both agreed on it. That's a contract in my eyes, not a soulless entity.
A meeting of minds with Mr. Barclays and an offer and an agreement. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, and so when you ring up and you think you've got a phone contract or a gas and electricity contract, what you've got is an agent operating, giving you a service, which isn't really a contract, and it's not really a bill what you receive. So, we are highlighting what is now to us a little bit. It's not a little bit simpler than it was a year ago. But what the majority of Facebook and the YouTube viewers want off my SPL's Pro, in the SPL's trust and on the .com is going to be explanation to the language, the templates, the instrumentation, what the trusts are, how to ring fence property, the birth certificate, the language. And so, yeah, Steve, we've got a massive job to do because there's like hundreds of people that have just like influx from Liverpool and Manchester, and a lot of them are concerned parents that are saying what's going on. And then with Theresa May coming out with, I've got some sources for you all. I've posted it in the feed. It was on the Babylon Bee of all places.
I've seen it.
BabylonBee.com. But I've also referenced in Sovereigns today. We've referenced it on 3 or 4 different other feeds coming from the government where Theresa May is quoted saying about London, upon the news of a High Court ordering life support removed from 2-year-old Alfie Evans, English Prime Minister Theresa May issued a brief friendly reminder to citizens, not the men, not to persons and citizens, to legal entities of the UK that the all-powerful state actually owns their children. And that's not verbatim.
That
quote from her.
Of the state after the 7 years, absolutely correct.
That's pissed a lot of people off, Steve. This has pissed a lot of people off, this statement. They've all come in saying, is this true? This isn't right. I'm like, this is what we're trying to tell you, of how to fix the little Alfie and the parents' problem with the trust. We've got to correct that. This is it here. And I said, we found it, since sourced it, Steve, but this is going to blow it wide open. We're gonna have to maybe consider working as a affiliation for a bit and look at how we can.
You have to carry all over the bloody country.
No, don't worry. We've got a structure in that. I'm just thinking anybody that wants the trust that you do, we'll let you know in emails and stuff. But we've got most of it locked down. Just these canons.
You've got yours. You know what you're doing with yours. You've got it right. You have got it right. It's yours is your ones. There's nothing wrong with what yours are doing. You're absolutely spot on. I just worry about it, because legal's their thing, innit? It's not ours, man and woman. Do you get my drift?
Well, equity. When you act as a settlor in equity, you abide by the maxims. You are covered.
Yeah.
Lord Edward Coke Lord Edward Coke, what a man. Lord Denning, what a man. Research
Lord Denning, yeah, he's always said it.
I've
used them many times in statements when I've been doing it in court. Absolutely correct.
Ray boys there. So it's like, yeah, you have to pick your battles, and you do have to be careful. Say that again, Steve.
It's a minefield when you get into this area of the unknown and seeing it for what it really is. It's a minefield because where does people start? We'll start for the beginning. What's the first thing you know? A birth certificate. Start from there. Once you get that birth certificate and you understand what it is, it's quite easy to follow the steps and find out what they're doing. It's not hard. That's what I was taught.
Right, we're going back into the chat room. We're going to try and wrap it up in the next 20 minutes. We've got about 20-ish points. And Ian P says, what do you think the Pope could have done to make him better? Well, not make him better. The Pope could have ended. Go on.
The Pope gave his hand of friendship, didn't he?
Rite of passage, did we call it? A rite of passage?
It's a rite of passage, and he was waiting for the claim. They've got to claim it to get that rite of passage. Only a man or woman can claim it.
Yeah.
It does say quite clearly there, under the Unum Sanctum, that the Holy See are protectors of all creatures, man, and man as well. It says it quite clearly. They are trustees of the estate. Yeah. So if they gave a gesture, you've got to take it and claim it. Simple. That's why the priest was there. You know why the priest was there.
Italian citizenship. That was a right move for the son, for the father to do. Respect to the dad for that. He got well informed there. He did make it right at the beginning there. He busted an excellent move with that one.
It's the first thing anybody
Kudos to him for that.
Get it out of any jurisdiction into a private capacity in the Vatican. It's a private state. It's owned by the Vatican. It's not got any jurisdictions on it. It's private. It's an estate of its own.
What would have just a thought? Say he's got dual citizenship and he went and got an Italian one, which he did. Then what if he rescinded his UK citizenship? It'd just have the Italian. Then would that have removed jurisdiction?
He would have got
UK citizenship, right?
He would have took that automatically.
I know. I'm just saying. You know, like
I would have presumed if he went against the state and went to the Vatican, they would not come back. None of them would have come back. They would all stayed over there. Come and see me in Italy.
Yes, actually, but he couldn't take the son with him.
Yeah, it's an invitation. It's not given out lightly. Trust me.
I know. My name's Giaramita. I know about this Italian manifesto, and so I've been looked in it deep into the catacombs and everything, and then you confirming what I got told. About the live borns and the when we're talking about evidence of life, ecclesiastical deed, Paul. That's interesting for you to look at. Do a search on that. We've got it. Steve, what's your website, Steve? Do some adverts for your website because I don't think I'll get it right.
Advertising my website, man. It's expert in all legal matters. Expert in all legal matters. All one word. Yeah.
.co.com.
.com. Yeah, it's .com. It's American. It's in America.
There you go. And could you explain a little bit about what you do there? Do you want to give them like a little bit of a breakdown? Because some of them
yeah, so all it is basically to do with the birth certificate and everything to do with that. And then everything from that shows you all the fraud. So we cover all of it. We cover everything basically. It covers a lot of things. And now we've started putting transcripts of actual court dates, of Crown Court dates, so people can actually see this for themselves. So they can get educated.
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, you should do it because it's quite amazing when you actually read it and you go for it. Because I know legalese, I know that inside out, and I can tell you what, if I was me talking, I'd have killed the judge. Do you get my drift? But I don't want to because I want to create this. It's me who's doing this in the background, not the judge. Me. How am I going to do it?
Yeah.
That's for the next one. That's the skeleton argument. That brings in the trust. The trust has already been mentioned. Big claims, brother. Big claims.
It's big pimping. It's proper gangsters. Well, this is
smarter than what they are. When you walk into a courtroom, they're looking for a bond. They're looking for direction. That's the first two things they're looking for: agreement, consent, and contract. If they don't get it, they get no bond and no direction. Then you're now facing what's going to happen next because you know what you're going to do. You know what your standing is. This is when it gets interesting. You take them out of their comfort zone, bring them into yours as equals. That's how you do it. It's not easy.
You mentioned the word.
You don't understand it. It's not easy, but once you've done it, you've done it. Simple. You'll never need to do it again, ever. I teach people this. That's what I do. I teach them how to do it.
So you mentioned the word there called legalese. What some of the viewers won't understand. It's a language that they use in court, and it looks like English. It spells like English. It looks like English. It reads like English. It sounds like English.
It's Latin. It's Latin, actually, to be fair. Yeah. It's mixed in with English. It's Latin, really. It's that's why when you go to any legal establishment, they keep telling you, "Oh, we're not trained in legalese. We're not trained in legalese." But you're a courtroom. What are you on about? Yeah. Because it's a Latin. It's a Latin. It's funny, is it? How can you not be trained in legalese? You're working in an operator room in a courtroom, and you're not trained in legalese, but you're typing, and we're having a laugh here. Yeah. No, but it's true because it's Latin. It is a form of Latin. That's what it is. But it is their Latin. It's not yours. It's not even English. Yeah.
CQB is not English. 1666. Such Latin. Maxims. Some of them come from the Latin, and that the Hebrew is also used not in so much law, but the elite use Latin and Hebrew. Yes, in the law.
It is used in the very old maxims, and it's hard to get a hold of this. I've seen a couple of them, and it's not easy to get the transcripts to them. But there is Latin and Hebrew and a few other languages all in with that maxim.
Yeah,
I think there's 4 languages in total, very old ones. Can't even make
the
out
language we speak is called what?
Definitely make out the Latin.
If any of the viewers don't know of a guy called Santos Bonacci, there is a video chat with Steve and Santos. I think it's about 3 hours. There's a panel, isn't there, Steve, where you're talking in depth. That's a very, very insightful video.
Santos Alpha's Army. He's a very savvy man, Santos. He is very savvy. He's very passionate about the stars and the system and everything.
He's deep. Man's deep. The man is deep. Wow.
The man is.
No, I'm just saying.
I've got a lot of respect for Santos, Brett, Rom and Rowan. They've done it as well. They're just in deception. They're a good lot. They know what they're doing. There's a lot in America doing this as well, by the way, guys. There's lots in America doing this. You want to see the emails I get from America? Hundreds of them. Romania. I have them all over the world. They've got all these groups all over the world, guys. I'm not joking. There's millions of them. You think it's just Britain, you're absolutely gobsmacked. If you was to come onto my website and see my analytics and see my hits on my daily hits, I get thousands of hits every day on the website and all over the world. All over the world. It's frightening. It's absolutely frightening.
It is consciousness innovating, Steve. It's spreading. Yeah, it's not just an English or American. It's European now.
It's a universal thing because we're all a species. We're all human. Well, I'll rephrase that. We're all man and woman. Simple.
Yeah.
That's how we're all a species of man and woman. Simple as. With other species on this planet.
Right, brother. Yeah, I agree. We're going back to the comments, Steve, because I need to crack on and get off like about 12ish if we could.
We need to get some
truth conspiracy. Yeah, man, we do. Your birthday is hearsay in court, as you were not compos mentis, nice bit of Latin there, at the time, and rely upon second-hand knowledge for this fact.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. You were not there. How can you swear to something you were not there and present to? Absolutely correct.
Somebody's asked a question that I don't understand. How to access services offered then by NHS DWP companies? We'll have to explain that live trying again, but only for, let me just see here. Common law court, check it out. Claim ownership of your legal fiction and get a common law birth certificate by public servant criminals. Well, what is the advantage of having a common law birth certificate, public servant? Because I don't see that. Common law doesn't. It's great, and we understand what it is: harm, injury, and loss, and what to abide by in natural law. But
we don't realise common law is mixed in with the administrative law, which is the C, which is commerce. This is what a lot of people don't understand. They've got to be really careful when they start going into this route. Because I know plenty of people that argue a good fight in common law in the courtroom and still lose. Why? Because it's still a contract. That's why. It's the maxims that are the most powerful. They're the ones that take you outside that realm. Same and all with a trust. It takes you above that realm. It takes you a different jurisdiction. I would never argue a common law argument in a courtroom. I'd argue a maxim in a courtroom every day, all day long, and I'll argue a trust in the courtroom. Does that make sense? Because now you're bringing equity into it. You're bringing equity and real law into this. That's it, simple as. Surety, equity. Something going to pay here. Common law is not what you think it is, guys. Do the research in common law and you'll understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying it to be funny or lightly. Have a real good search of common law. And you'll find out, if you look through any law books, common law is linked in with maritime law, which is admiralty, which is the sea. And that's why we have ports. That's why we have ports everywhere, guys. There's rivers and ports everywhere. Say no more. Say no more on the subject. Do you get my drift? You'd have to be on a desert island to say it was on the land of common law, really, technically, if you want to argue, or on it. You see where I'm going? Yeah. The beautiful thing about this is, this is what makes me laugh. We're on a planet, it's got 75% water.
Yeah.
Say no more. What's the body made of? 75% water. And you can tell the whole argument with this.
I would say, brother, that to correlate that, to echo those words, I would say that now, after my studies within the trust and the equity and looking at Chancery and the Privy High Court Council and things like that, and really digging up the history again, and Lord Coke, Lord Denning, the doctrine of notices and things that common law, public at law, common law level, we are in that, and we are by default given general public status with full public liabilities with the Admiralty common law. So by default, our status when we are 18 and of legal age is that we are, assumed to be, and it's not a good place to be in this. This common law is the public law, and it's in a trustee position, which is with not full allodial title, but with the legal possessory title only. So you lose the right to that property. So when they come to take your child or they come to clamp your car, you can't say, "Oh, that's theft," because it isn't theft. But you don't know what relationship you're in and what power they've taken away from you that you've given away with the signature. And that's where we come in to say, "Whoa, stop it, just back it up a bit." And you are arguing a common law remedy for something which is equitable, like Steve's pointed out. Your birth certificate would be equitable, and your common law, it's not really. We wouldn't argue that that we wouldn't promote or advocate that. No. And when I saw that that's what they tried to do with Alfie's certificate and that, we was like, we've got to go down, Andy. We need to just at least say stop, and let's just have a chat about things or send some messages, and then that's what we did. And obviously get in touch with you and find out about the ecclesiasticals and the edicts.
You did really well with that, with the father. Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you what, I've met plenty of them in my time, and they are very formidable adversaries if they want to be. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have two cloaks. They have the cloak for the Vatican, and they have a cloak for the public. Yeah. It's frightening. You've seen it. You've seen it yourself. I don't need to tell you this. You've actually seen this yourself. They are trained in this very, very well. They're not going to give you something and just roll over and give it to you. They never do. You've asked for it. Now you need to come for it. You need to ask for it. You need to come for it. Take it. You know what I mean? I need this. That's how it works. You've asked for him. He's here. He's presented himself. From then on, is entirely to the individual who wants it. That's how it works. In your hour of need, as we call it.
Yeah.
I've time around the faith. Trust me, brother. And I'm not biased, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong here, but just at this moment in time, they are in charge. I don't care what anybody says. Just look at the evidence. Just look at it. It's frightening. It's frightening.
The Home Guard's just been changed and discussing the other day. There's evidence.
Yeah, because it's gone on the Navy now. First time it's ever happened. When she went, I think it was November or December last year. Trump and the Queen went to the Vatican, and Trump fell and kept in graces with God and did what he was doing. But as soon as the Queen came, she immediately changed the Horse Guard to the Navy, and it's never been done in the history of the royal family. And there's only one reason for that, and that means she's now classed as a combatant. Which, to you and me, you say, "Oh, what do you mean a combatant?" But we're already combatants in the legal sense. but she's now the ward of the state, and she's a combatant. So that doesn't look good for us. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not a good sign. That's definitely not a good sign. No. But don't fall out of graces of God, man. They don't like it. Whole civilizations disappear when that happens. They're famous for it. Just look through history. I'm not trying to say what's right or wrong here. I'm just saying, look at the evidence. It speaks for itself through generations of time. Whole civilizations have just been wiped off the face for no reason. For no reason. We know what the reason is. You didn't abide by the rules, you're gone. That's it. We've got a system in place that's been here for thousands of years. They're not going to change it. Not yet, anyway.
It revolves around. It revolves around the cross of fiction, the crucifixion.
Yeah.
Some say. Right, back to the comments. Brother Shona says Alder need to be investigated. Anyone on any idea on how to do this? Well, I would say claims and independent. It's had allegations. We have to be careful here with what the police have put with the media and warning about what allegations are made. So,
a subject access request would be the first way to do it. To any family that's ever had any dealings with any legal instruments inside that frame would be a subject access request pertaining to X, Y, and Z, and start from there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Under the data protection, they have got to give you full disclosure of that. So if it's one of your children or a relative, that's how you would do it. Does that make sense? That starts the ball rolling in that one.
Yeah, you would also look at putting in private claims in a private
that would be after you've just done that. That's how you would do that. You get the evidence first, David, yeah? You get the evidence first. And then
freedom of information.
Absolutely correct. That's what I would
freedom of information is it? Yeah, some people are saying freedom of information previous, but that's a request. So
that's
Steve's right with the SAR or subject access.
That's to do with personal data to relate to the individual.
There you go.
Different. It's the individual's data you want. That's all data, and that's anything to do with machines, logs, video, the works. And if there's anything been redacted, then there's some sort of concealment going on here, and that's an argument in law already. Simple as. Then you would put a claim in. Simple. Not hard to do. Millions of people do it, and they do it with
comes from the data controller.
They do everybody. They do it with mortgages. They do it with banks. They do it with everybody. Recommend doing it, guys. Everybody.
You've got the data controller that you are accessing there. I've got some notes here that the NHS.
The 151 officer, the chief financial officer, is the data controller.
So I've got you've got the data controller that's subject access request, and Steve's explained that, and freedom of information. So we've already preempted the questions. I'm getting good at these now because others come up and say, what's the difference and why wouldn't you use? So we'll get them preempted now. And I've got an email here for the NHS complaints manager as Joe, J-O-E, Johnson, J-O-H-N-S-O-N at nhs.net. So feel free to try that email out, guys, for that, because I've emailed him twice, and I've since then gone to Steve Barclay's ministerial office and then said, yeah, we're having a go with this, and this guy's not, responded in time. So, nice one for that, Steve. Let's go. Louise, Lindsay, only mums on mine. Oh, that's just a conversation. It doesn't matter. Let me get questions. Love you guys. Well done. Why couldn't an Italian diplomat step in and help Tom and Kate? He could, and that's what we was trying to organise. Or in a diplomat's vehicle, or someone direct link to the Catholic Church.
He's got to be given contract and joined to that, and consent from a higher power, which would be Tom or Kate.
Yeah. It's got to come publicly from the mum or the dad publicly.
Absolutely.
Right, next one, what we got now then. Consent was withdrawn, so no legal construct has any jurisdiction. A civil tort has become a criminal one, as there is wrong, harm and loss being inflicted. But we're saying consent was withdrawn, David Desure, but I saw that video, and that's another point of concern. When I saw it said Jesus, justice, something on it, I thought, how have they withdrawn consent? What capacity? Have they done it with the all caps and the title or the date, a surname, date of birth? Have they acted in private under equitable matters and corrected relationships, because otherwise the legal system can't hear you, and then you just vexate them, and you just add, you know, don't you just add fuel to fire, Steve, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Be really careful how you do it and what capacity it's done in.
They're saying, yeah, don't speak legally. So, now all over Pakistan is supporting. So thank you, Pakistan. Yeah, wow. Yeah, like you say, there's a lot of interest. Common law, natural law, that is not admiralty jurisdiction, whereas common law precedence-based is admiralty jurisdiction. Well,
maxims of law. Following maxims is much easier, which is higher than natural law, guys.
How would you verbally express?
You have the maxims, you have natural, and then you have common law, guys. There's the structure. Maxims is the top, natural, common law. Go to the top first. Don't go in the middle. Always go to the top. Know you're standing straight from the offset.
Watch them hot spots.
Always watch them hot spots.
Go on, Steve. We're doing well here. How would you verbally express a trust in verbiage you think? Well, it depends what type of trust, and you know,
depends what it's over.
I'd said that about a babysitter.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah, exactly.
But generally, the babysitter one, you could be at the pub, Albert, and me, you, and Steve could be at the pub with 10 other mates, and then Steve says, "Here, Albert, get everybody around the drinks," and he gives you 100 quid. So now you've become a trustee with that 100 quid. Steve's the settler, and the guys at the table waiting for the drinks are beneficiaries. That's a trust.
Absolutely.
It's set up. It's, you know, bum bash fish done. It, you know, it depends. If you want to ring fence property and put reses in and certain other things and be specific and put duties and declarations and deeds and that, then there's a different type, and then you got like the private, the statutory.
A trust is what you make it. Absolutely correct, because it's a you're trusting, you sure will something else. Absolutely correct. It's a will of the man or the woman. That's a trust. That's the trust off.
Don't get birth certificates for your newborns. Look at Hugh Grant, not Hugh Grant. Was it Hugh Grant that did that? Somebody famous didn't resist to get a certificate. Yeah, we're explaining why. So, how would you resist if you didn't get instrumentation, Steve? If you didn't take your property, your blood, to be registered, and you never got a birth certificate, we know the pros of it. Then the state, no ownership, no registration, full title, and all that.
You can actually still get things on a 000 number, and it's quite easy to do. You can get birth certificates, passports, and that is a non-commercial surety bond. That means you can't trade it because you're not
really.
Yeah, they still got to give it to you. It's a 000 number. It's all zeros. Just put all the zeros and 9 zeros. Because they ask you,
I was going to
fill it out and do it. Absolutely correct. And they've got to give it to you. They've got to give it to you. They can't say you can't have this. You say, yeah, I want a passport, but I want it 0000000. Thank you very much. Birth certificate, thanks. 0000000. There you go. Yep, absolutely. They can't trade it then. You see, you're not surety anymore. So you've got that gap already. And they've got to give it to you. They've got to, if you ask for it.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
And that is not a contract.
Yeah.
I've seen a few. If you decide that's one, got them. Yeah. I've seen them. Yeah. They're real. They are not real. They are very real. And I've seen them all over the world. America are very famous for handing them out for some mad reason. I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah.
Lisa Van Honk, when we did Santos and Lisa Van Honk, her passport's got all the zeros.
Yeah, too.
That Lisa Van Honk, we did that talk with Santos. Remember? There was Santos, Lisa Van Honk, and Brat. She has a birth certificate, a passport that's got all the zeros, nothing else, for travel anywhere in the world. Because she asked for it.
Yes,
yeah, she handed back a driving license. Yeah, the zeros, absolutely. She's
making a new legal.
I know there's loads of people got them. Absolutely. You don't have to get that number.
Oh, because I saw a story of a Romanian man that had been told by his government that he was dead, and he was clearly stood in front of them and said, "I'm not dead. I'm here, and I've been away, and I've come back, and you've shut my name, account, everything, house, sold everything, shut it all down." And he's like, "I'm back. What do we do?" And the answer given was, "We're sorry, but the estates and everything are closed. You're dead." And he had no legal person.
Well, then the trusters come back to claim it now as the beneficiary. I'm using the flesh to claim it back.
I know.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine that? And it said the story was he was to remain dead. I said he needs a new legal person making up a new IMF issued national insurance number, whoever gives him it, and just make a new legal entity. I says I'd love to get involved with that and just say, right, pal, what you do here is, and now you're free.
I get
I get a lot of
Romanians emailing me and showing me their videos and all the things. It's amazing what they show me. Absolutely frightening.
It reminded me when you said about the countries. Then I thought, I know there was a story. What was it? And it's taken me all that time to remember it. Somebody said, then the state does not own you. The state never owns you. Nobody owns you, but they create you. Your mum and dad are your owners. To be fair,
no, the legal consequence owns the surety on that birth certificate. Absolutely.
It's not you. Nobody ever can. No man can own another man. No entity can own a man. They can bond you.
Title to something. It's legal. It's called legal title. That's its official title. Legal title. Yeah. And title can be broken into different things. Do you get my drift? Depending as and when they use it in a jurisdiction, obviously, and for whatever it is. Yeah, because title, where there's a title, there's always a record of it, birth certificate, and there's always a manor roll book at the Vatican. Does that now make sense?
Manor roll book from the Vatican.
There's the certificate, and then you have entry in a title. Title, manor roll book. That gives it title.
Yeah.
Does that now make sense? For one, there's always another balance. It's a balance of both ledgers. It's a ledger. We call it a ledger. Yeah, that's what they call title. The title, ownership of title, they call it, because you've got one and one. At the moment, the Vatican's got title, manor roll book, yes. And at the moment, in this country, the Queen, under the copyright letters pattern, has got certificate, correct? Birth certificate. Do you understand how they worked it now? This what brings in the Sesquive Acts and the Wills Act. You're understanding the title.
Hold up. Steve, hold up. Listen, I'm going to interrupt. Have you ever seen a screen named Zoltan the Disparate?
No.
Yeah? Have you ever heard of Zoltan the Disparate? He's popped up somewhere and said that he don't think he likes what we're on about, to be fair.
Well, everybody's entitled to an opinion, brother.
It's all right. Yeah, we're not offended. We're not offended. I'm just letting you know that it's, some guys called us a pair of idiots, to put it politely, and he thinks that we think we've swallowed the blue pill, but no,
the blue
quite humbling. We're doing it in our own time.
You got here. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, mate. Don't worry about it. Let it go right over your head.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying that. Just letting you know, I'm used to it. I get it all the time. I've got
it's funny.
But yeah, it's obviously some kind of
all
academic. The guys are dealing with him, don't worry. He's being dealt with. You are a bunch of cocks.
You will always get the trolls and the government agents and the disbelievers and the negative energy. Always. It's a balance of a ledger. Positive, negative. You always get.
These guys are controlled opposition. I've read the Freeman Manifesto. I'm a sovereign private nobleman. I am not a free man. I am not from the Freeman concept. I'm speaking for myself, not Brother Steve. I understand the Freeman concept. I was born to my mum, but birthed in the world, and I was free for a limited amount of time. And then little David got bonded. He did, and there was the end of his freedom. So I'm not a free man. I'm a private, sovereign, nobleman that's self-governing, and I couldn't be further away from a free man. To be fair, I reside in an equitable area, and I'm an honourable man with clean hands. And he who seeks equity must do equity. You know, and that's what we're here to do, aren't we, Steve?
Absolutely. Absolutely,
we love it.
Absolutely,
we love it.
Absolutely. Equity.
So yeah, I just wanted to get that out there.
Let's see who's got the bigger claim.
I am a British overseas territory citizen and just entered my birth certificate number in the Fidelity website, and Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company came up. Is this stuff for real? Mind blown. #mind blown.
Tell him to go into. It was out in Fidelity did it on. Tell him to go into Treasury Direct and put it in the EE bonds, and then put 10,000 EE bonds, and then put his birth certificate in there, and then put the year he was born. Or should I say the month and the year, and then get a laugh and see what he's worth, and do it every month for now to whatever age he's at, and you'll get an idea how much he's worth. Shouldn't think.
I know. What's the Fidelity? What's Fidelity for then? Explain about Fidelity.
The Fidelity ones is where the big companies actually do the stocks. The stocks, we call them stocks. Where they get the liquidation for trading on the bonds, basically. And it's big companies that do them. It's either BP, any big massive multi-billion-pound corporation. And you're all filtered through these, and then you're branched out all over the place. That's why they say there's millions of your birth certificate bonds all over, and it's true. That's absolutely true, because they're trading these all over the country, all over the world. That's absolutely, absolutely. But that's why it all starts Fidelity, and then go straight to the Treasury Direct. Is the bond? It's a holding. Treasury Direct's a holding bond. It's a holding bond, and that holds your bonds. They're getting bidded on, and then someday when that gets mature, we'll cash that bond in. It will become a trust certificate bond. That's what that is. Trust certificate, trust bond. And he gets X amount of lots of money on it, and that's how it is. He cashes it into the IMF bank, and that's how he trades it. That's how they work. Because everything goes to the IMF, then comes back into Britain and gets filtered. That's how it works. We've done the traces on it. Anthony's done all the traces and all the things. It's frightening what he's found. We're not allowed to put them online. We can't. We'll shut us down tomorrow. I know. We'll shut us down tomorrow. We can only put up what we can do up. And we put a lot up there. To be fair, our website's massive. You can get anything you want. We've already got criticism for putting Dunn's Bradsheet up there, linking it up to you guys. So you just need to click on it, type in what you want, and then you've got it there. It's there.
Really? I didn't know this. I've not looked for a bit. I've been so busy with this Alfie case and whatever else.
Go on the website, and just a normal homepage, and go on the expert non-legals at the bar, because there's a bar there. It'll bring you down to the truth, and then scroll across, and it'll go 3 bars in, and then you'll see it Dunham and Bradsheet. She's amazing there as a corporation. I'm not lying. Yeah. She's there as a corporation.
Yeah, I've seen the Dunham Bradstreet number. Yeah, I've seen
I've given you the Bradstreet number. You go check it yourself. You can actually pay for it and get it out. It's all there for you. Everything's a corporation. Everything is a corporation as of 2008. I've always known this.
The police.
This is why
the police are. They're not.
This is why it's all trust. Everything's trust, so it's very hard to sue them. That's why it's all trusted now, because they've done it. They've changed it from public to the private. That's what they've done. They've flipped it. So everything's in a private capacity as of a contract, birth certificate, trusts, equity, surety, bonds. Yeah, absolutely.
I listened to. It just got a question here. Have we watched any John Harris videos from Zoltan? We've won him around. He's seen that he's been duly noticed, and I think he's realised that we're not what he may have first suspected. But he's asking, have we ever watched any of John Harris vids? So that lets me know where he may have started out, or what level of cognitive, recognition.
John Harris, he knew exactly what he was talking about. He had it in the head. John Harris, he was spot on with everything he did. He was. Yeah. I was sorry to hear what happened to him at the end. Do you know what I mean? There was 3 weeks before his suicide. He redacted everything he said. So peace and love to the family. Peace and love to the family, like, you know what I mean. But the man knew exactly what he was talking about. He was a carpenter by trade. Simple. He was a joiner. He worked with his hands. He was an honourable man. That's all. I'm not going to get into a big discussion about this, because there's a lot of people still love that man.
They'll cover it, yeah. Reality is an illusion. The British Constitution Group. He made me cry when I watched that. To be fair, Zoltan, I've got a heart and a conscience, and I'm a countryman.
He is still going to be.
What the hell? When I saw that man speaking and I saw him cry, I thought, that man actually gives a shit. This is someone that actually cares. You never see that. You never see it on TV. You never see it on BAFTAs. The Oscars is when you see it, and it's fake ass shit. So I'm like, what? I need to listen to him, and I did. And he was one of my inspirations, brother. So yeah, there you go. We've got lots of love and respect.
He always will be, because you'll never ever take what he's got, what he had, what knowledge he had. He was a very shrewd operator. He knew what he was talking about. He knew exactly what he was talking about. Absolutely.
Yeah, passionate. He cared, and that's, you know, it's all
passionate. The whole lot of them were passionate. They actually backed them doing this. It was they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly, had it hit in the head, and knew everything. It's only older people.
Yeah.
No offense to younger people, but us old fogies, us granddads and older people, grew up in a system that wasn't the same as what it is nowadays. So we've actually seen the change. We've seen the changes. We've seen what they've been doing. Because if you was to take this back 20 years ago and more, it was not the same. Trust me, it was not the same. Bits were there.
How many statutes?
Not as bad as it is now. Yeah, there was no such thing as tax and council rates and paying for this and paying for that. You know, I mean, my grand told me all about this when I was a kid. You didn't pay for nothing but your mortgage. Even then, it was a little mortgage. It wasn't nothing fantastic. It was just, you bought it, you got it, it was yours. All good in the hood. Then all these rates started coming in and council things, and before you know it, it just went nuts. Everybody
endowments. What did they do? Did they missell? They missold all them endowments and messed up half the country's lives, didn't they? They goes, oh yeah, what you want?
People, this is. They gave everybody the poll tax, didn't they? That was the most brilliant idea ever. And they gave it to Scotland 3 years before they gave it to the English. That's what they did. 3 years before you got it. Yeah, 97% of people didn't pay it. The prisons were full.
Yeah, well, they can't put us all in prison. They can't lock us all up. You live in a house. Do you live in a house? No, pay the tax then. What for? Because you live in a house. But everyone lives in a house. Yes, we know. Wow.
Yeah, but it's all commercial, isn't it? Everything's commercial in nature. But you're not a commercial. The house is not commercial. It's a property. It's an asset. Equity.
Yeah.
It's title. Do you get my drift?
Yeah, it is. I know. Wow. So we'll call it a day here, brother. We've done a lot. I don't know how long we've been on. A long time. It's been fun, but I need to crack on, brother, and retire.
I was no brother. No worries.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome, mate. No, I've got to go down to Kent soon and then every night because I'm sorting a lot of stuff down that neck of the woods because we're going to show the fraud to everybody. But you should look on all that stuff on the website, especially the Crown Court transcript. It's there. It's there for a reason. I want you to see it. You'll understand what I'm doing because whoever dictates the pace of a courtroom directs a courtroom, and I'm doing this in the background. Does that now make sense? You'll understand when you read it.
I am eager for this because, as you know, I told you on the telephone, but the viewers might know. We've got a beneficiary in the Facebook trust, and he got a traffic officer make an allegation that he'd infracted on the Road Traffic Act and possibly blah blah blah. So I presented as a Mackenzie friend in the magistrates down in Oxford and assisted him with the CPR books and the Butterworths, was it Lexus Nexus blue ones for criminal because it was a traffic allegation offence. It may have gone criminal rather than civil. So we went down there and presented, and we got them to deliberate from 5 to 5 till 20 past 5 under taking expert legal advice, not from yourself, but from the in-house court guys. And they came out and they said, yeah, there's reasonable doubt here. The claim is not justified. You haven't proved, blah, blah, blah. We've put in doubt and cross-examined the traffic officer, the alleged driver representative in office, the agent, got cross-examined. I got my first, since my high court battle for the access to my children property. This first time I've had a bit of court experience, and they came out and said there's no other way but discharge it for reasonable doubt, basically. So I'm about ready to step up. Yeah, I know. It's my fear's the first win for the trust. Yeah, to be fair, so I'm ready to grab that now. I wasn't at the stage before, and I have to.
Once you've done it, once you're going to do it. Respect, brother. Respect.
We're going to get there. Yeah, thank you. And we will have a look. So, expertinalllegalmatters.com. And thank you very much, Steve. We'll be in touch. And
absolutely, brother. You've got
for the chat room. All your comments.
I've got yours.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Been fun.
I'll catch you again,
thank
David.
you, brother.
Have a safe one, brother. Good night.
Oh well, thank you, Steve. Lots of love. Peace and love, bro. Fist bumps. Ciao, bello. And to all of the guys in the chat room, thank you very much. It's been a good long chat. We've covered a lot there. We've covered the basics, everything we needed. Andy's had to retire because he's up early for servitude part-time. Is there anything else you want to say that we haven't covered while it's just back to me then? Or, yeah, we good to go? Are we good to go? What we're saying here, Zoltan. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, because we do that. You fuck off with your little argument. Laws can be made any day. That's right. Laws can be made. But who makes the law? Yeah. We have a thing called the core directive, which would be the common law, wouldn't it? It'd be the natural divine law. You know, thou shalt not commit harm, injury, loss, murder, things such as. So we've said that. Yeah, laws can't be made any day. No, laws. Who can make laws every day? You have to be in a sovereign capacity. Yeah, you can't even. The guys in Parliament aren't in a sovereign capacity because they're employed of wards of the state, Zoltan. So, yeah, laws cannot be made every day. That is not as I see it. If you do see it like that, who can make laws any day, and in what capacity, and how do they make them? Because they are, you know, come from where? The church, generally, from the 10 Commandments or from sociological evolution. How's about we implement a system and we follow it, and we just have one. And we just have one set of laws, and it's the common law one. I'd be good for that, but the common law one would also involve an element of equity, because when you withdraw personal, private man's property, because we're not fictions, then laws are only applicable to whoever gives them the life and credence. So a diplomat doesn't give them life and credence. You can hold out somewhere and be off the territory, can't you? So law isn't applicable to land; it's applicable to man. And if man gives it justice and credence and life, then so be it. You've done that. I don't consent to public, statutory, mandated codes. But guess who does? Mr. Giaramita consents to them, Zoltan. He has to, because he's in the public, and so are them. Me, I'm the man in the private of the family, Giaramita, not committing a crime, acting within my equitable rights, yeah, as the set law in honour. So I don't follow you there, pal. If you give me a constructive argument to go up against and just stop swearing a minute, then we can sink our teeth into it. But we need intelligence. Give me some. I can tell you've got intelligence there, and I'm not going to rise and swear and lose it on you, because we're indigos and we're rainbows and we're, you know, crystals and light workers, and we've got to change this system. You've been indoctrinated like American style to come in chat room. I used to do this in 1991 on Yahoo Messenger with chat bots and so much, you know, crazy technology back then when we were on Kazaa Lite and Napster, and, you know, downloading, messing about, and things we were doing with the 8 gigabyte hard drives we had at the time, and the 500 megahertz processor with 256 gigabyte RAM. Do I know a lot? You don't want to try and, you know, mentally dance with me, because I have my judo and it is strong. Yes. Please search YouTube for "Get Your Hands Off My Penis." You will see what reference I mean. It's nothing gratuitous, and you don't see a penis. But Zoltan, that's my present to you. Please search YouTube, "Get Your Hands Off My Penis." Thumbnail, man with coppers in Australia going into a car. I will say namaste, peace and love. That's how we roll. Guys, I've got to go. This guy's trying to keep me on, and it's not going to happen. Dude, you don't know me. No, I don't know you, but I am you and you are me. We are all atoms, right? Atom and Eve, atom and electrons. We are all created in the creator's image, whether you be black, white, Chinese, Hispanic, Mexican, you know, whatever, non-gender specific. We are connected. We are all connected via a vibrational frequency on this one board. Yeah, I know you because you are me and I am you. We are, if you're a man, we are classified as brothers. So I don't know you personally, but you're on this chat, you've got an inquisitive mind, you're trying to work out what the hell is going on with these legal systems and the controlling system and the matrix and how to work stuff out. So yeah, I do know you to some extent, because I can tell, because I can psychoanalyze you, because I've got indigo child and you know, crazy little things like that going off. Let's see if they're working. Let me just check. Are they on? They're actually on as well. Yeah, it is working. I'm not lying. Look, nice one, Matthew. I will take it off one day. Maxims are powerful things. It's the trump cards of the system of corruption. Boom. Yes, they are indeed. So you have the maxims of law, you have the maxims of equity, and you have the presumptions of law. Then you're on your way there. Once you've got them, that's it. You're halfway on your way. Alias 69. We don't know if he's a shield. Zoltan. He could be you know, he could be anything. He could just be, you know, depressed. He could be mentally fractured. He could have had a lot go on in his life. He could be just, we've all been in a place in life where we've not liked ourselves and where we've looked at ourselves later and gone, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe that was me. A little bit of remorse or embarrassment, and you then make up for it, or you make sure you learn and grow. So I'm babbling. I don't want to ruin this good chat. So public servant criminals, no, laws are fluid. Yep. Dodgy doctors, David, he's just a troll looking for trouble. Don't give him. No, I'm not going to stand, but I like just to show that we have got depth and we don't just kick and eject and reject and block, and we'll actually spend the time and say, no, I'm not. You, I am me. I define myself as a white male against diversity. Against diversity. Because I've got an Italian surname. A racist, eh? Bigot, fascist. Eh? What? We know your sort, don't we? You're not local. So you've just isolated yourself there, haven't you? The chat room are like 41 folk. Well done, lad. Carry on. I wish you luck. Someone's put a Dr. Dre comment. We're going to end it on that comment. Sticky Toker has lifted the mood. Peace and love. Ciao for now. We're going. Let's end this. Thank you very much. It's been epic.